Welcome to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show.
Yes.
I'm Ted Bonnet.
I'm Phil Proctor, and we have one of my long-lost friends on the show today, the great Ed Begley Jr.
Phil Proctor, I love you. Do you know that I love you?
Yes, I
Good.
do, and I love you too.
And I know that too. How do you like that?
That's great. Over all these years, and over all this distance, when you love somebody like we love one another,
yes,
you feel it, and I think of you. You know, I
think of you a lot.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Ted doesn't know this, but I'm a fanboy for Firesign Theater. I'm a total fanboy from the late 60s, you know, Antelope Valley Freeway and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Crush the Dwarf, Henry the Pliers,
yeah.
All Hell, Lennon and Marx. I mean, Nick Danger, all of it. Just such a fan.
Same here.
Yeah,
So
the best
great.
of the best. You are.
Oh, thanks. Well, we're here also to talk to you about your book, which is such a delight to read and to get into, and we'll talk about why during the show today.
Great.
But the book is called To the Temple of Tranquility and Step on It.
That's the right response. Thank you both for that. Good.
Is there a story behind that?
There is a story. First of all, it's a line not written by me. I put it on the cover of the book, but it was actually uttered by one Dick Stahl, a wonderful...
Richard Stahl, yeah.
Richard Stahl, great. You probably work with him.
Sure.
Great improv actor. He did lots of films and television, but this did not happen in front of a camera or an audience. He had planned after the Beatles went to see the Maharishi. He wanted that kind of enlightenment and that kind of guidance, so he planned, as I would plan, very type A personality kind of a thing. He had a flight going from LAX to Hawaii. From there, he transferred to the Philippines, get on a very inexpensive merchant marine vessel where he got a berth on that somehow, then go to a smaller vessel and get off and go to the dock and go to the little rickshaw or something to the Temple of Tranquility.
Woo.
But that first flight was late. Something happened bad in LA or in Hawaii, and he got there late, just running down the jetway, just closing it up as he got there, the jet to the Philippines. He had to wait another day. But then the rain started. It was monsoon season.
Oh, God.
And he couldn't get another merchant marine vessel for weeks and weeks. And he finally got there, and he got the other boat, and he ran up the dock, and he hopped into the little rickshaw and said, "To the Temple of Tranquility, and step on it." And he started to laugh. The driver started to shake his shoulders and laugh, and he didn't want to lose his tip. But it was ridiculous, of course, to say such a thing. But he said it, and he knew it was absurd, and he began to find tranquility in other ways, as did I.
You sure did. This book, I read it cover to cover, just amazing.
Well, you should have read in between because that's all the good stuff.
Oh, yeah, really? I just did the sleeve.
Yeah.
Your life is
not over yet.
It's not over yet, but it's remarkable. And, you know, talk about a Zelig of who you've met and how you met them and what it led you to, and then all of your incredible experiences and that you survived. And how all the
people in your life. Ed, Ed, you think of yourself as a character actor. You're a character liver.
Yeah.
Oh,
not in the sense of a liver.
And my liver has a lot of character at this point.
But yes, you've met so many interesting characters in your life, and responded so well to them, bonded so well with so many of them.
And Ted Zelig is it. You put your finger on it. I don't know what year that movie was made, but it's based on a real person, as it turns out. Zelig
was it?
Really?
Yeah, that's what I'm told. But that's very much it. When that came out, I went, well, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm either, you pick Zelig, Chauncey Gardner, Forrest Gump. That's me. I'm jogging through, past the Washington Monument when historical events are occurring. And I somehow got invited. How did he get here? Oh, Harry Nilsson invited him. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you're okay. Come on in. Crazy.
Yeah.
And I think, you meet, very rarely do you meet people who have had the variety of experience and coincidences that led you to such wonderful things over the years. But it's really just the definition of a life well lived.
Thank you. I feel the same. I just feel very lucky. I finally got gratitude at about age 30. I didn't have much of it before that, but I realized how lucky I was to be born Ed Begley's son, to get to work with Phil Proctor and all these other great people that I worked with over the years. How lucky. I was an ingrate for years. My dad made it look so easy. I thought, well, I want to be an actor. Get me on Gunsmoke.
Tell us about your dad quickly.
My dad was an Academy Award-winning actor, a Tony Award-winning actor, on Broadway, a big hit.
I saw him on Broadway in Inherit the Wind.
You probably did with Paul Muni, maybe, and Melvin Douglas did it as well. But he was a great star, a wonderful radio actor, too, something I know you care a great deal. He was in Richard Diamond, Private Detective, Aldrich Family, great radio shows. But he made it look so easy. I had this attitude, well, I want to do that. If my dad had been a plumber, I'd be fitting pipe now. But he did that and made it look so easy. I went, give me a Gunsmoke, give me a Perry Mason. I want to, not just one shot, I want to be a regular on the show, for God's sake. Where's my series? Wake me when I'm famous. And I didn't put any work into it. Finally began to train with the help of Bruno Kirby and others that were such a great example to me, began to take some training, and then I began to work.
You worked at Peggy Fury.
As you say,
Peggy Fury was a great teacher in my life, and Stella Adler, of course, was great, and many other wonderful teachers.
My ex-Norwegian wife's sister worked with Stella Adler. She was her organizer and kind of.
I probably met her then. She was great. Stella was wonderful, and I remember she had an assistant.
Anna Semmingsen.
That's sounding very familiar. How do you like that?
Isn't that wild?
I was supposed to do a scene with Susan Clark, and I couldn't make it. Suddenly, I just didn't show up to do a scene with Susan Clark in front of Stella. Everybody was upset with me, but then I got word to them why I couldn't be there. I was in jail. A story we might get to, impersonating an officer.
How you managed to survive. You were a raging alcoholic.
Yep, quart of vodka a day.
Yeah, honest to God. And Harry Nilsson was even more of an alcoholic.
I know. I decided to outdrink Harry Nilsson. How stupid am I?
Good luck.
I don't recommend that.
No.
But then John Belushi calmed you
was
down.
a sobering influence on my life. John Belushi was very much worried about me.
That's amazing.
Too far, Ed. I don't mind partying myself, but you go too far.
Now, you mentioned in the book, you say I had white privilege. You mentioned that, but because of your dad, but at the same time, your dad did not embrace the show business luxuries, and he was pretty straightforward.
He was we lived in Van Nuys, a very modest home, a 2-bedroom home.
Yeah.
But also, having said that, he also had a home out in Long Island, another modest 2-bedroom home, but we were wealthy enough to have 2 homes, small ones albeit, but
in Merrick.
Merrick, beautiful Merrick out there in Long Island, a good place to grow up.
I grew up in Huntington.
Oh, really? Yeah. How do you like that?
I left when I was 10. I think Long Island is one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's just too bad those people are there, but
Yes, exactly. I left when I was 12, so I can relate.
Yeah.
And then I came back.
There were potato fields when I was there.
Yeah, there were lima bean patches across my house in Van Nuys back when I was born here, went to New York to go to grade school, but came back every summer to the San Fernando Valley to Van Nuys, and finally relocated here in 1963 for high school, and I've been here ever since.
Wow. So you were here in what to me was the halcyon days of
definitely,
of when there were still orange groves in the valley and
a lot of oranges. People were growing corn in the valley still, and lima beans, as I said, right across from our house.
Yeah.
Right there in Van Nuys, there's Sherman Way in Sepulveda.
Okay, so you came up through this time, and your dad was famous and doing quite well in the business that you ended up loving. But then, you talk about in your book about how you discovered these family secrets because your dad wasn't terribly vocal about some complications.
His private life.
Yeah, I finally got my hands on my birth certificate for the first time because to get your driver's license, you need the proper ID, which is your birth certificate.
Right.
Because you don't have a driver's license yet, you need that. So I get my dad just hands it to me. We go to the business manager's office, and he gets in the car, and we start driving back the valley from Beverly Hills, where his business manager was, hands me the document, just starts driving, and I open up. What does it look like? Is it written on parchment with a quill? There's a little baby footprint on it so we don't get mixed up at birth here. So I started to look at it, and something caught my eye right away. Not something that was written on it, something that was not written on it. There was no mother's name.
No mother's name.
No.
Wow.
And often you'd see no father's name. That's more common.
Right.
But no mother's name. She was clearly there in the hospital. Why did they not put her name down? So seeing that there's no mother listed for me in my birth certificate, I said, Dad, why is there no mother's name in my birth certificate? Long pause. Finally he goes, because Amanda wasn't your mother. The woman I knew very much to be my mother, she died when I was 7. I called her Mommy. That was my mother. Mother of 3 kids, Tom, my much older brother, my sister Aileen, and me. I'm the youngest. And suddenly, Amanda's not my mother. I go, well, who is? And he goes, Sandy. 20 megaton bomb in my head. Because this woman that I loved like crazy, I would see her like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter sometimes, and she would give me a gift, and I just was crazy about this woman. That turned out to be Mommy.
Wow.
And who was it? Well, what did she do? She was a page at NBC. My dad had taken up with a page at NBC, had not 1 but 2 kids with her, and just brought them home to poor Amanda. I don't know how that worked. Here's 2 kids I found in the alley.
Yeah, right.
Can you change them? I got to run to a play.
And you were one of them.
I was one of them.
Wow. We're talking to Ed Begley Jr., and who you may remember from
Everything.
hundreds of movies, incredible movies. But Saint Elsewhere, of course, television was one of your most high profile.
Changed my life, that show.
Sure did.
All right, so. And we'll get on with this, but this is fascinating to me because it seems like you were sort of born into an addictive personality. And the reason I asked is because your dad would drive between the two houses when he was doing Broadway in Hollywood. Sometimes you would drive across the country.
He would.
And you found in Nevada, when you were driving one day, you found the one-armed bandit, the slot machine.
Exactly. What a magical thing that was.
Something lit up in your brain.
You put a quarter into it or a nickel into it, depending on the denomination of the machine, and you would get a jackpot, which I knew I would get the first time I put a coin in because that's what the universe owed me.
Of course.
I was going to get that jackpot because it was owed me. So I finally convinced my dad, who was not at all a gambler, because my older brother Tom was, and it didn't end well for him. Mm-hmm. I convinced my dad to put a quarter in the machine. Maybe I had 3 of them. Yeah, I think I had three of them. I said, put some, and he did one at a time.
You were too young. You was 21 and
yeah,
over.
You couldn't go in. It was at like a gas station kind of a thing. They had some slots there. Mm-hmm. It says, you must be over 18 or whatever to play. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I saw him put in. He had his back to me, but he put a quarter in, nothing. Second quarter, nothing. The third quarter, nothing. And he turned around and shrugged his shoulder and went, see? And I was convinced. Here's what I thought. I didn't think that I'd lost the money. I thought my dad somehow faked putting the quarters in.
See, now
he hadn't really done it.
That's
where my mind went.
Yeah.
It couldn't possibly be that I didn't get my jackpot that it was owed me.
Yeah, he was a hell of a good actor.
He wasn't that good at pantomime. I've seen him play pantomime.
How old were you then?
I was 12 years old, I think.
So this is an interesting crossroad because most... I don't know. If I was 12 and I saw my dad...
I was 10 or 11 now that I think about it.
10 or 11. That's what you said in your book. Now, if I was 10 or 11 I saw my dad just lose 3 of my quarters, I would go, I'm not going near that thing again. That's a loser thing. But something just lit up in your... this strange idea of gambling. And I think that... I don't want to get deep into this, but...
No, it's very much what the book is about, addiction. Just trading one form of addiction for another.
Exactly.
Drugs and alcohol, philandering, gambling, you put a name on it.
You did it all.
I did it all. But when I first played bingo before I discovered poker, I would just play bingo at the kind of Horace Heights Estates there on Magnolia. They had a bingo thing.
Oh, Horace Heights Estates. I have some friends who live there now.
I lived there for years, and I was convinced that I was going to win, whatever the big prize of the night was from bingo. It didn't work out that way. I just kind of knew that was my destiny, to be handed everything, like handed an acting career, and I didn't put a lot of work into things. But finally, I began to work and study, and things changed for the better.
Listen, I heard his show. The late Gilbert Gottfried was interviewing Ileana Douglas.
Oh, yes. 2 good friends of mine, by the way.
Good. And she was talking about her dad.
Melvin Douglas.
Grandfather, yes.
Grandfather, right.
And she asked for some advice about going into an acting career. And he said to her, always order the club sandwich.
That's a great bit of advice.
Isn't that? He said they'll always have the same ingredients in it, no matter where you are.
That's like Betty Davis. What's the secret to success in Hollywood? She goes, take Fountain. Which is a street in Hollywood for those who don't know in other parts of the country.
A major street we all know too well.
As you grew up, you went up. You spent time with Groucho Marx. You became friends with Marlon Brando, Jack Nicholson.
Really
you played
close.
Trivial Pursuit with the Clintons when he was still a governor of Arkansas. You got to know Kirk Douglas,
with Malcolm
Meryl
McDowell
Streep.
and Mary Steenburgen.
Correct.
Right?
My dear
up
friend.
in Ojai.
They got us up to Ojai. We wound up moving there. They had a realtor there the next morning after we first went up there with Mary and Malcolm. And we quickly rented a house and then bought a house there. I loved it up there. It's beautiful.
And you played Trivial Pursuit with
the Clintons, with Bill and Hillary. Yeah.
How did that go?
We won the game, but we kind of lost in a way because every time I saw Bill after that, I said, Pope Pius XII was not the correct answer to that question. It was what was on the card, but it wasn't. I think he was right, actually. But what was on the card was Pope Pius XII, so we got the final wedge for that.
Well, you had the same experience with Dick Clark because, all right, I knew Harry Nilsson also.
Oh, I loved Harry.
Oh, God, wasn't he something?
The best.
When I met him, I believe, from my memory, he was working as a bank teller.
He worked at a bank running the computer in the basement.
That's what he did.
Yes, he did.
Because he was a mathematical
He
genius.
was. He ran a mainframe computer in Panorama City or somewhere.
And you have a mathematical brain,
A bit
too.
of it, not like him, but I had a pretty good brain for that stuff. I can tell
Okay.
you the calendar trick. I could do that pretty
the
well.
calendar trick? All right. Well, so I was born on July 28th,
What year? Let me pull up the calendar first.
1940.
Okay, let me do 1940. I've got it. It's a leap year, by the way. Sorry. Go ahead. 1940 is a
July 28th on a leap year.
28th. It's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday. That's right.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
I'm not looking at my phone, folks. I'm not in front of a
he
computer.
just did it.
He just did
and
that.
my mother held off giving birth to me in Goshen, Indiana, until it was midnight and Sunday.
The Sabbath.
Yeah, and also Sunday's child is full of crap or whatever the poem says.
Loving and giving and da-da-da-da-da.
She wanted me to full of grace or something. She
Yes,
wanted me to,
yeah.
which is beautiful.
And you are, trust me.
But when you were on the Dick Clark show, he asked you what day they started the show, gave you the date, and you said it was a Monday. And he said, oh, no, it was a Tuesday. But as you pointed out, that's what it said on the card.
Right, the researchers. And actually, just to fine-tune
researchers-
a little bit, it was Dave Letterman. I was on the Letterman show, and he was, the
Oh, it was
date that had was a Dick Clark American Bandstand, the premiere of it. And
That's it. Okay.
And so I said it. I did the math of it, and it came up Monday. So I said Monday. Ooh, I'm sorry. It was a Tuesday. I went. Shit. They cut that out, of course, in the Dave Letterman show.
Whoops.
And I went. I did it again, and it came out Monday. So I just had to accept my fate. I don't know what I was doing wrong. What I was doing wrong was believing him.
Yes.
Not that he was trying to deliberately do it. The writers just got it wrong. Why would a 5-day-a-week show like American Bandstand start on the second day of the week,
Yes,
of
of
Tuesday?
course,
Doesn't
it's
make sense. It
ridiculous.
was on a Monday.
That's ridiculous, right?
So I was right, but
you were right, but David...
tell that to my wife.
Yeah, I'll tell it to you. All right. How do you remember the thing that I found absolutely most fascinating about your book and why I like diving into it is that you seem to have a total recall of things that happened to you and people that you met along the way. How, do you? Or did you do research to do this? How did you do this?
I have it in my brain somehow still. I still remember us in the Mountain Dew commercial. It was a very smoggy day,
Yep.
and you were at some point in an inner tube. You
Yes.
were riding in an inner tube in a little stream that went by.
What year
was
Why
this?
do I know that? Why do I not know why I went into the garage today just before I came here? I had no idea why I walked in the garage before I got in my car to come here. There was something that I needed to do, and it was to get my water bottle, and here it is.
and there
I brought
it
it back. But I couldn't remember that, if you had a gun to my head, but somehow I could remember you in that inner tube in 1972 in a smoggy day out in Santa Clarita.
Not only a smoggy day, but that was on some movie ranch.
Yeah,
was
the
it?
Disney Ranch.
The Disney Ranch. And I remember you were wearing a mask.
A gas mask. Yes.
gas
Wow, your
mask.
memory is very good, too.
Well, gosh, you know why I remember it? Because at like 5 o'clock or whatever time it was, suddenly the wind blew from one end of from one freeway across
Yes.
our little valley
Yes.
to the other. And do you know that for 2 days after that, I couldn't
Me
take
either.
a full breath? And you
got
had a
it.
gas mask.
I got a little bit of a break because of the gas mask, but my lungs hurt a little bit, too.
Yeah, it was a carbon monoxide
It was.
poison,
It was
wasn't
very,
it?
very bad.
People don't know now who haven't been around
What smog is.
what smog was. I mean, I came out here in '76 looking for work from New York, and I had some great meetings with Roger Corman. You name it. He even offered me an editing thing. But the sky was yellow.
All the time.
It was yellow, and
Yeah.
I went back to New York, and it was December, and it was this bluebird day.
Yeah.
And honest to God, I had an epiphany. I said, nope. And I stayed in New York another 20 years. When I did come out, it wasn't yellow anymore. They did change that.
Yes.
They did
That's the
fix
thing
it.
we got to remember. There's plenty of bad news with the environment and other things, but the good news we got to celebrate as well, which is 4 times the cars since 1970, millions more people, but a fraction of the smog.
Yep.
The only people that are still getting hit are near the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles, the people near the fulfillment centers, that are sending the Amazon stuff to us, and the other freeway interchanges, stuff like that. Those people have unhealthy air that we're going to clean up. We're going to get to that too, but we've cleaned it up for 90% of the population or more. We've done a good job, and we've got to replicate it with other things that we know will work. We believed that cleaner power plants and cleaner cars would do a lot, and of course they did. That's the main 2 things that got us to where we are today, which is a lot cleaner here.
Yes.
And it's interesting because the battle still continues in Utah. Salt Lake City,
Right.
because it's rung by mountains, has a terrible inversion issue. They make people sick.
Right.
And the legislator there, which is very conservative, is fighting the environmentalists. And it's like, you just need to... It's a little insane. It's like, you just need to adopt basic emission controls. Like, look what happened in Los Angeles. It's proven. And yet there's still tremendous libertarian resistance, as if it's some sort of an attack on their freedoms to kill themselves.
And their families. Business people like to breathe clean air too, as it turns out. They want their kids to breathe clean air. Imagine that.
Right.
And you've been... Now, how did you become... I mean, you really are known...
You're not only a spokesperson, but you're
an icon.
Lived.
Yeah.
You've lived a good life of showing. It's like, Jesus, show me the way. You know,
Right.
you have led the movements.
The electric car revolution.
Yeah, you had an electric car when it was electric golf cart.
Exactly.
Right?
And I credit my dad with a lot of that. The bad influence was the smog in L.A. got me involved with the first Earth Day 1970, but the good influence was my father. He was a conservative that liked to conserve.
Aha.
Good luck finding that today. But back then, I mean, we turned off the lights, we turned off the water, we saved string, we saved tinfoil. He was a son of Irish immigrants. He lived through the Great Depression.
Right.
So when I would complain about the smog, he'd listen to me once or twice and he'd finally say, I don't like the smog either, but what are you doing about it? You know, go try to get some clean law passed, clean air law or something, or build a cleaner car or something, work with some engineers or do something. But it's not what you say no to, Eddie, it's what you say yes to that I'm more interested in.
So when did this happen?
Wonderful.
When did
This
you have
happened, you know, back in 1968 or 69.
You
He died in 1970, and the first Earth Day was it was within a few days of my father's passing.
Oh, my.
So I got involved with all that stuff to honor him as much as anything. And keep in mind, 1970, I'm a broken, struggling actor. I hadn't even done our Mountain Dew commercial yet.
That's
you know,
right.
so I didn't
No
have a lot
Saint
of
Elsewhere.
That's
Yeah.
right, long in the distance. But I wanted to do something that I knew would protect the environment, honor my dad, and so I started recycling. I started composting, became a vegetarian. I started riding my bike when weather and fitness permitted. I started taking public transportation even more, and I even bought a 1970 electric car.
Wow.
Imagine that.
And when I say car, I'm being quite grand. We're talking about a golf cart with a windshield wiper and a horn, okay?
Yeah.
It had a electric cart.
Well,
with
that explains so much as to that. I always wondered what was your motivation, and it's your dad. That's fantastic.
Very much so. And everything that I did was very inexpensive. The electric car was $900, which was a perfectly reasonable price for a used car at that point. But it got me around L.A. on a very smoggy day or a rainy day, you know, when I didn't want to take, be standing out there in the rain or take my bike. So it even took me on a date with Cindy Williams. Remember Cindy Williams?
Yeah.
Sure.
My dear friend from Laverne and Shirley. She played
Yeah.
Shirley.
Yeah.
So I took her on a date. I did not get a second date, is all I'm going to say. The car was so slow, I didn't charge it fully or something. It was crawling. There was a kid on big wheel passing us by.
Oh,
a butterfly was going faster
But you've been a good sport about this because you've been parodied as the face of clean energy in that respect, in that kind of lifestyle on The Simpsons.
I love The Simpsons. That was a high point in my life.
What was the setup on that one? That was
Everybody was getting on the bus, public transportation. You'd think I'd be in favor of it, getting on the bus to save the trees there in Springfield, to save the old growth trees. And I wasn't getting on. Why? They came up and asked me. I have a little tiny vehicle. They said, because I'm driving a car powered by my own sense of self-satisfaction. I had this little golf cart with a helmet on and wires going down to the motor and the wheels. It was very funny.
Yeah, but didn't it stall on the tracks? But then the train
That was the
came?
second one. That's right. The Ed Begley solar car. I'm going, and the eclipse of the sun stops me right on the railroad tracks. And finally, then the train stops. It's a solar train, as it turns out. So it stops a few inches away from my electric solar car. They're great.
Now, but you took public transportation, but that almost got you killed.
Yeah, I was big on public transportation.
Folks, by the way, these are all wonderful stories. Well, wonderful, sometimes terrifying, but very interesting
You're listening
stories
to Phil and
in
Ted's
the book.
Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show. Our special guest today is Ed Begley Jr.
And we're talking about his wonderful book.
That just came out last year, and now it's already last year, 23.
That's right.
And I read it cover to cover, and it is.
I love you, Ted.
It's absolutely delightful. But some of the stories. So now we're getting back to the dark side, the addictive quality of gambling. And
Yes.
you talked some friend into taking a bus out to Gardenia where there was some casino.
Yeah.
And you figure you had it
As
all.
there are today, yeah.
Now, were you drinking then, or was this a new addiction?
I was drinking, but I wasn't drunk on that particular day
So what
somehow.
happened?
But
Yeah,
what
tell
happened was my friend Paul Appleby and I, he was my roommate at that point. I said, let's go down to Gardena. It's a different city than L.A.,
Yeah.
and so they have special laws there in the city of Gardena. They allow draw poker. So let's go down there, and because I know you like poker too, let's go play in a real game with real card players. He said, great, I'll drive. I said, no, come on. You know me, I like to take my bike, the bus. I'm not going to bike down there, but we'll take the bus. It's real easy. One bus will take us right to Western and Santa Monica, then the next bus will take us down Western Avenue right to where the Horseshoe Casino is. Let's do it. He said, okay. We got in the RTD, and we got to Santa Monica and Western. There's a bus stop right near our house. We waited 2 minutes, got on the bus and see, I told you this is great.
Yeah.
Get off Santa Monica and Western, wait 5 minutes, the bus comes. I said, see, this is better than driving. You don't have to worry about the traffic.
Right.
We get to Western, not at the casino, we get to Western and Imperial. The driver says, inexplicably, he says, okay, end of the line. So, no, we're going down further down. There's a bus. I was told there's a bus. Yeah, but that's another bus system, he said. It's Gardena here. Another city, another bus system. You got to get on the Gardena bus line. Well, no, okay. So we get out. It's broad daylight at 3:20 in the afternoon. Lots of cars driving by. A busy Shell station there. There's no problem. And these, 10 kids start walking towards us with purpose, like a gang of kids.
Ow.
And I'm wondering, I don't want to run away. I don't want them to think I'm uptight. And then suddenly we're just knocked down and stabbed and beaten and wound up at, what was it called? Sentinella Valley Hospital. I had a collapsed lung, as it turns out.
Oh.
But I lived through it, and it just showed me another time the kind of situations my addiction put me into. I wanted to go gamble, and look what happened.
Boy,
You also had
Bad bet.
some
Bad
very,
bet is right.
You had some very hairy automobile accidents when you were drunk.
Yeah.
Right. And astonishingly, you somehow
bounced back.
bounced back. And the only time you ended up in jail was for impersonating an officer.
Right.
I remember when you were doing stand-up.
That's
Do you
right.
remember you also had the invisible dog?
Oh, my God, you remember that,
I remember
Phil?
that very well, yeah.
I can die happy. Phil Proctor remembers my invisible dog routine. I swear to God, this
the
is
Ace
big.
Trucking Company was playing at that
Yeah,
time.
Ace Trucking Company. That's George Memoli, of course, and Fred
Right,
Willard.
and Fred
oh my
Willard.
God.
Yeah.
At the Troubadour.
Patty
This is where you-
Deutsch.
And
Yeah.
Patty Deutsch, oh God bless him. Well, Fred and Patty are gone now, but boy, oh boy, do their memories linger on.
Likewise,
what
for me.
strong, beautiful, wonderful
Yeah, so
personalities.
how did you
the
get
best.
arrested impersonating a cop in front of the Troubadour?
Tell
right?
us.
I
that
decided
story.
in the book to tell the absolute truth, not the story I'd been telling for years, which I literally, like OJ, trying to find the real killers. I told it so often I believed it. So the true story is, well, let me tell you the bogus story. I was just walking from the Troubadour to Tana's, and these sheriff's
Dan
department guys
Tana's,
came
by
up
the
and
way.
Oh, Dan
rousted me and
Big
took
restaurant.
me in, even though I was I told them I'm an actor and I'm wearing this for a role. We're going to be shooting soon. I was just on stage at the Troubadour. All of that is a lie. I was not performing at the Troubadour, as I told them. I was performing at a club I can't remember the name of, a little restaurant, kind of a place on Reseda Boulevard near Nordhoff. And I had my police uniform on. I went, maybe I'll go by the Tana's and have a bite. But first I'll go to the Troubadour and drink. The ladies at the bar will think this is funny, me in an LAPD uniform.
Right.
So I went in the bar to pick up women, basically. Let's be
course.
clear what I was trying to do.
Of course.
And then I said, well, let's go grab a bite. I found a nice lady to walk with me over to Tana's. And that's when the cops came up. I was not performing on stage. That was a lie I told them and everybody for years. I was just literally trying to get drunk and take somebody out on a date. But nonetheless, they did take me in for something that was a bum rap, because I should be allowed to wear. I wasn't knocking on doors at Tana's or the Troubadour saying, give me all your money, I'm
That's
a cop,
right.
and
Yeah, right.
give me your dope. I wasn't doing anything like that. I was just going to get a bite to eat. But I went to county jail because you don't want to do anything bad in 1973, sorry. You don't want to do anything bad on a Friday night because you got to wait the whole weekend to get out.
Yeah, sure.
And there's no
Right.
ATMs back in 1973,
Right.
so you can't. How are you going to get $500 for the bail? I didn't know anybody that had $500
Yeah,
sitting around.
And you didn't have a little phone in your pocket to call for help either. Yeah.
I didn't have a house I could mortgage to get $500 from a bail bondsman. I had no way to get out.
Wow.
But I finally did get out on my own recognizance, and they even gave me my uniform back.
Wow.
I thought they were going to keep it. We're going to keep the uniform so he doesn't cause trouble again. The judge said, no, you're not. Give him back his uniform. It's a costume. Give it back to him.
Good judge.
Yeah, very good.
Wow.
So you did stand up. You started doing stand up.
Yeah, how did you stand up when you were so drunk?
I was actually that night, believe it or not, I had like 2 or 3 beers. I wasn't that drunk, but how I stood up at the clubs when I was really loaded, that's the question.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
That's what you're asking a good question. I didn't quite get it.
Yeah,
that's a great joke. That's very funny.
When Procter and Bergman, when we were touring, people were always giving us drinks, and other little comestibles, and we could never drink to do our show because it was so fast paced, and there were 2 of us. We had to be there for one another.
Yeah.
But when you're doing stand up,
you can get away with a little lubricant.
You can get away with a little lubricant.
Yeah.
But, and you started with another unknown by the name of Michael Richards.
Yeah.
Back then we were at Valley College together, and we did one night, a Monday night, a hoot night at the Troubadour. And some associates of Doug Weston saw us, and they tried to give us a contract. Doug Weston wanted to manage us because we had a very good night at the Troubadour and Hoot Night.
Wow.
And then we went to the Ice House and went on a few other times at different places. But Michael got drafted into the Army. It was the Vietnam era.
Oh.
And so he went off to the Army, and I went, I like this stand-up, though, with him. He's so funny.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll try something on my own. And I did. I was at a club called Tulagi in Boulder, Colorado. And I started my stand-up career there, my solo career. And I finally got into the Ice House when I came back to L.A., then finally the Troubadour, then Max's Kansas City, then the Bottom Line, and then clubs and colleges and concerts around the country.
Max's
had a good
Kansas
career.
City. I didn't know Max's did comedy.
They did.
either.
They had mostly singers, but I was an opening act, so I did like 15, maybe 20 minutes of comedy. And what's so weird, I got booked on these little tiny stages was I was a prop comic, so I had all these stupid props that I'd pull out.
Yeah.
And to have all that stuff on stage and to carry it around, I just wanted to make my life as complicated as possible, I think was what was going on.
And Max's Kansas City, of course, was in New York City.
Now,
Right,
the Ice
as was
House,
the bottom
the
line.
Ice House was the first place that Firesign Theater ever performed.
Is that true?
Yeah, and
Bob Stain.
Right. And you know who our opening act was?
Who?
Steve Martin.
Oh, my God.
And he was doing his balloon animals.
I saw him do it. I saw him as an opening act for somebody. Maybe it was you guys.
Well, maybe it was us. And we got the good reviews, and they didn't get Steve Martin.
How great he was.
We went, good Lord.
He's a genius.
And then during our touring years, Procter and Bergman, we'd run into Steve very often on the road. And we knew he was going to have a sudden breakthrough.
Yeah, me too.
And boy, did he ever.
I was doing the Exit in Nashville. I did the Exit In. I opened for J.J. Cale, then a new guy playing the piano that nobody had heard of, Bette Midler's guy, called Barry Manilow. And
little Barry
So I opened
Manilow.
for him. And then Steve Martin came to see my set. He was so nice to come in and see my set and have a few kind words. But he had just been at a local college doing a much bigger room than I was doing with Exit In. And he had hundreds of people there. And this is the first time he did it. He took them all. He said, come with me. Let's go off campus. They walked across the street. He took them to McDonald's and ordered for all of them. I want 200 hamburgers and
It's out of a Woody Allen movie. Bananas.
separate checks, yeah, but he didn't pay for it all, I don't think. But he said everybody who wants to get some fries or something, order what you want, and people are laughing. He had a lot of stuff to fill it in, but he was hysterical. He took everybody across the street from the college campus to a McDonald's.
Yep.
Who thinks like that?
He was an absurdist. He is an absurdist, like Bob Einstein,
Albert Brooks.
Albert Brooks.
Yeah.
A surrealist. He did surrealistic
He
comedy.
did, and did it very well, as they both did.
And he parlayed that into wonderful character work. Because he's so very talented.
Talented.
But again, all the people. How do you remember all of their names? I mean, it's all in your head? When you were writing this book, did you write it chronologically?
Like, for example, you smoked a joint with Charles Manson?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a story, too.
Yeah. My friend James Jeremias and I, we had studied at Valley College. We had a cinematography class together.
You've been mentioned Valley College for people who don't know. What is
L.A.
it?
Valley College. It's a community college. So it's called L.A. Valley City College or something now.
In the Valley.
In the Valley, in the San Fernando Valley. And James Jeremias went there. He went on to write a movie called Lost Boys you might have seen in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful writer, wonderful guy. We had a cinematography class.
You were learning to be a camera operator.
I was, which I did for a while. I was an assistant cameraman.
You actually got into the union, didn't you?
I did. I got in the union, learning skills, adopting skills I got at Valley College. But one day James said, because we lived in the West Valley, I was in Northridge, James was in Chatsworth, he said, come with me, I want to go see my friend David Kurland. And he lived up a little further up the hill, so we went to visit him. Dave Kurland was a wonderful artist, and he lived in a tree house next door to a saloon. Very odd. Okay. So we go and we smoke a joint with Dave, but he didn't have any dope with him. So he said, my friends up in the main house have some good pot. Let's go smoke a joint. So we smoked a joint with some people, some very amiable hippies that were there. And one guy played a little music and what have you. And it was fine. We smoked a joint with them and had some small talk. I don't know what we talked about, but we left. Went back down to Dave Curlin's place, the tree house next to the saloon. I should have mentioned the saloon was not a real saloon, but a part of a movie set on the Spahn Ranch.
The Spahn
Which you might have heard of.
Which became infamous.
Exactly, because that's where the Manson gang lived.
Yeah.
That we didn't know who they were until a year later. They hadn't done the murders when we met them, of course, but a year later they were in the paper because they had apprehended them in Lone Pine, I think, where they had moved to. They were there, and it was all the same people. It was clearly the people we had met. You know, I had a good memory for faces back then, and I knew. I called up James and said, "Did you see the paper?" He said, "Yeah." Somebody called to tell me, you know, David Curlin or somebody said, "Did you look in the paper? That's all the people that lived up at the ranch." It was just crazy.
Wow.
And there they were, the Manson gang, and we had smoked a joint with them. I hope none of the bad vibes was on the tip of that blunt.
Damn.
That's all I can say.
I have a connection to all of that as well.
Tell me.
My first wife, Sheila Wells, who knew everybody, and she introduced me to a lot of the people that are in your book. Famous
I remember
people.
Sheila now that I think of it. I think I met her.
And she's around still. She's been very kind to me since I lost my dear wife, Melinda. But the night of the murders, Sharon Tate, who was her best friend and roommate for a while, was supposed to come to her house for dinner. And when Jay Sebring called and said, "I'm coming into town," so they decided to go out to dinner and then come back to the house. And Sharon called Sheila and said, "Why don't you come and join us later?" And Sheila said, "Well, you know, I have another friend coming for dinner, so I'll call you afterwards." When she called afterwards, the lines were down. She called Sharon's dad, the colonel, and he said, "Yeah, there's cops up there. We don't know what's going on." That would have saved Sharon and her baby's life.
God help us.
Fate, isn't it amazing?
Amazing. It's just amazing. Sliding doors, closing doors that you just miss in a subway or a stairwell. It's just how close things are sometimes to one way or another. Those horrible murders. And, you know, it's a crazy story to have met them and smoked a joint with them, but the bad vibes that I seemed to be surrounded with back then when I found in my trash can and plugging my car in.
There's a story. Listen to this.
Oh, my God, yeah.
You're plugging your car in, and there's a terrible stench coming out of your garbage cans, right?
Actually, the plugging the car is another one that Cato Kalin showed me where to plug my car in. I'll tell you more about that.
Okay.
But the one with the stench was my neighbor from across the alleyway came to my door and knocked and said, "I think your cat has passed away because I think she died under the house." I said, "There's my cat right there." She was rubbing up against my leg.
Yeah.
There's something very bad under the house. We looked under there. It wasn't coming from under the house. It was in my trash can. So I opened the lid. I closed it right away because it looked like somebody must have hit a dog or something, a big dog, and put it in the trash can because I must have hit it or dog. I don't know what happened, but there's something horrible in there. So I go to the bank and come back, and now there's a whole bunch of police photographers and detectives and
police cars
and everything. And the stench is terrible. And I finally go and I look over the fence to see, what is that there? What do they have there? It looks like a saddle or something or some sort of leather. Oh, my God, it's the torso. Oh, my God, 2 arms, 2 legs.
Oh, and a head.
And a head. All of that is right there in the alley between me and my neighbor. And I don't. What happened to this poor young girl that was taken from her mother's arms to wind up in my trash can? What is the story behind this? And I never learned that story, sadly.
No, you can't learn everything. But also Jeff Goldblum. One of the times that we met was in New York for the Macy's fireworks display. Don't know if you remember this.
Yes, I do.
You and Jeff had just come back from shooting Transylvania 5000.
In Yugoslavia, when there was a Yugoslavia.
Yes, right. And we said hello and got to to hug one another before the place blew up. At the show. But Jeff was held at gunpoint on your front lawn.
My front lawn. He was coming by to play. We would either play Risk or we would play Monopoly.
Risk.
This night it was Risk or Monopoly.
That's appropriate.
He was coming in, he wasn't there, and he was late. People didn't have cell phones back then. So finally, Jeff calls me. He says, "I'm in the neighborhood. I went to one of your neighbors' houses." "What? Why aren't you here?" "Why?" "Because it happened and something. I didn't know what he was talking about." Finally, I got enough out of him. Somebody had come up and held him at gunpoint and taken his wallet and his car keys and driven his car away right in my front.
What neighborhood were you living in?
I lived in Larchmont Village, a very nice area.
That's a nice area.
Yeah, very nice. And so I
Crazy.
thought, what kind of energy am I putting out in the universe that I'm plugging my car in at O.J. Simpson's house to the wall where Cato Kalin heard the thumps? Why am I finding bodies in my trash?
How about go back to Cato and O.J.?
Well, O.J. was a friend of mine before he started murdering people. I didn't know him very well, but I would be invited to a party at his house regularly. I'd go to his house and have a nice time at a party. And I'd say, I'm running a little low on power. Can I get a little charge? He said, yeah, go plug in near the wall there. Cato will show you. So I'd plug in my car in the wall where Cato would show me and get a charge and go home. And then pretty soon we learned more about that wall and Cato and everything and the thumps that we heard. And the first few days, everybody like me would think, please say it ain't so.
Yeah.
I can't believe a guy that we all love so much is capable of something like that. But when it came out about her strong box in the bank, her safety deposit box and the Polaroid she had taken of herself, it was a spousal abuse case, the whole thing.
Abused, right.
Yeah. And she was afraid that something like this might happen, and sadly it did. Terrible, terrible.
Wow.
And again, an innocent person with her was also slaughtered.
Ron Goldman, the wonderful Ron Goldman. I know his family a bit. I've gotten to know them. Wonderful people. I can't imagine losing a son like that.
Fate.
I know.
It's just, it's incredible.
Well, I mean, when you look back to Los Angeles in the 60s and early 70s even, I mean, you tell these stories and it just seems like the Wild West. I mean, what was, if you could go back and just sort of distill what L.A. was as in your eye?
Yeah, and talk about when you were married to Ingrid, your first wife.
Yes.
And you moved to, what's that beautiful area?
Ojai, beautiful Ojai.
Oh, no, not that. Down in L.A.
Oh, Hancock Park?
Hancock Park.
Yeah.
Because that's where in your book, you describe a lot of crime was happening there.
By the way, we're speaking with Ed Begley Jr., actor, environmentalist, and raconteur.
And he's telling wonderful stories from his book, The Temple of Tranquility, and Step on It. And the book is as entertaining as Ed is right now talking with us. It's like a conversation reading this book.
It is with you guys. But L.A. back then was like a Philip Marlowe, Dashiell Hammett kind of a thing that you see on the page. The jacaranda and the smell of the different plants and the orange trees, exactly, the orange blossoms. It's just a beautiful place to live with all this dark underbelly that's going on as well that nobody knows about. And I certainly flirted with it. I had some encounters with it. But I now for many years have been leading a life of a lot of light and love and a different kind of existence, having steered clear of some of the negativity that put me in these situations in many cases.
Well, the fact that you were able still, even when you were inundated with addiction, you still
strong will.
Remarkably, I think you always had the light. Obviously, it saved you so many times.
It did, and throughout all that addiction, in the early 70s, I discovered the work of Alan Watts, a great writer and philosopher.
Oh yes.
And so Alan Watts' book "This Is It" got to me at some point. I realized just from the cover, wait a minute, this is it. It's happening right now. It's not going to get better when I do the job or fix my transmission or get the paycheck or whatever. I think it's going to be better like I did as a kid. It's going to be great when I get the train set or the chemistry set. Everything's going to be wonderful when that happens. But it's happening right now. It's not something that happens later.
That's an interesting transition in one's life is when everything's ahead of me. Don't worry. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine until the point where you realize, wait a minute, I'm there.
I'm responsible.
And you finished your book that way saying, try to do this. Try to live in the moment.
Right now, because that's all there is. I remember another turning point for me was in the early 80s. I was going up with my first wife, Ingrid, to go up to Monterey, beautiful Monterey. And boy, I wanted to get there, Ted, because it's so beautiful up there. We're in L.A. It was a smoggy day in the 80s, and I wanted to get up there. And she hadn't packed the trunk right. I was taking out the different, suitcases and putting them in right and kind of berating her for why she didn't pack them right. And I realized, and I think she even guided me in that direction, it wasn't going to the vacation didn't start in Monterey. It started right now in the driveway, right here, this moment, like the one I'm enjoying with you, Ted. This is it. It's not later. This is not a dress rehearsal with Phil and me. This is happening right now in this moment. It's kind of beautiful to see an old friend like you and have a new friend like you, and it can be gorgeous if you let it.
Yep. Now, you had...
you said it.
You started a charmed beginning because you were on one of my all-time favorite TV shows, Mary Hartman.
Oh, I love that show,
and you played a deaf person.
Right. Yeah,
I did. I had to learn ASL every day. I didn't know how to do American Sign Language, but there was a woman there who teach me.
I remember you doing that.
Bless your heart. today it wouldn't cut mustard at all. You should have a person who really knows how to do it well, preferably even a person
who is really deaf.
Exactly.
Of course.
What was that experience like? That I mean, because it was a break for you. And you got to be friends with these incredible people, including
Louise Lasser, Mary Kay Place,
Dabney Coleman, Fred Willard.
Yep.
I forgot that Fred was on that show.
Oh, Fred he was on America Tonight and Fernwood Tonight.
Yes,
that's
but
right.
Of course.
Very few times in my life can I ever remember falling out of my chair laughing. And Fred Willard was one of those people.
Me too. He had the same effect on me.
Oh, my God.
And me.
Yeah, and I met, I became friends with Edie McClurg years later.
Oh, I love Edie McClurg. You have good friends, Ted.
Yeah, and I said we were working on something, and I had hired Fred to do a bit. And before I met him, well, we did the show, and we did the bit, and he came in, and he was very straightforward, nice guy, very quiet, left. And I was a little thrown by that. And I said to Edie, I said, because I didn't know who he was. I didn't know him. I said, is Fred one of those people who is just so remarkably funny but doesn't know it? Because that's how he kind of came off to me. And then Edie said, oh, no, dear. Fred knows exactly what he's doing.
I would agree with that.
So true.
But wow, what a talent.
Do you ever see Edie McClurg, by the way?
I haven't seen her about a year ago. Yeah.
Give her my love if you
sure
do see
will.
her. She did me a great favor back in 1980 or thereabouts before I got St. Elsewhere. I bought a house, and I couldn't quite make the payment, so I reverted to my carpentry skills, and I did some carpentry work. She had me build a little unit in her bathroom.
Oh.
She kept me busy and working and fed my family in the early 80s, so thank you, Edie McClurg.
Oh, wow. You and Harrison Ford.
Oh, I'm nothing like a master carpenter like him. He's a real deal. Bill Macy, there's another master carpenter.
Bill Macy?
Bill
really?
Macy.
A
William
wonderful
Macy.
carpenter.
Wow.
And Harrison is just incredible.
Well, Harrison Ford was our dope dealer in the Firesign Theater days.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
When you lived in the commune in the commune
I didn't live there.
In Barham, on Barham.
But yeah. The farm. It was called the farm. And Charles Manson visited there, by the way.
Peter Bergman lived there.
Peter Bergman. Oh, God, I miss Peter.
Yeah.
So
and
Phil
Steven
Austin.
Spielberg lived there for a little while, too. And Jack Poet lived there.
Oh.
The Firesign Theater, by the way, just a brief little break here on non-commercial radio. Firesign Theater is releasing a 72-page online booklet about our commercial years and our Jack Poet television commercials.
For the Volkswagen.
And they're all included, right. He had a Volkswagen dealership. You're a poet in your poet car. And it's called Jack Poet Loves You. All right, and you'll be able to get it online at the Firesign Theater website on February the 6th, and it's got all of these radio commercials we did for Carnation Instant Breakfast and Alaska Airlines, by the way.
Pizza Hut?
So anyway, I guess I bring this up because
I wanted to know about it because I'm going to get it. That's why you brought it up.
There you go.
So Mary Hartman, did that sort of launch things?
It did. It really did. Because before that, I was a guy with 3 lines here, 4 lines there.
Yeah.
But with Mary Hartman, I was on a wonderful, successful show that people watched, critically acclaimed show that people loved. And I was on it with Louise Lasser and Dabney Coleman and Mary Kay Place.
What a cast!
And then you became
involved with the wonderful Mary Kay. I'm so lucky to have gone out with her.
Her place or yours?
Yeah. Oh, God. And all those years, I never thought of that. That's right there in front of me. He's always got the
that's Phil.
She was the greatest. Is the greatest. I haven't talked to her in a few weeks now, maybe even months. I got to call her.
Oh, man.
She was great on that show. She's great in everything. Did you see that movie she did about some steel town in Pittsburgh that's fallen on hard times and her son's addicted to opiates or something? Oh, God, it just came out a few years ago. She's breathtaking. And I'll get you the information, Ted, so you can watch it. She's just brilliant in that as she is in everything.
Boy, we'd love to have her here if she'd like to come on the show.
One of the things that actors can identify with in your story is the fact that you'd be working, but it wasn't really paying the bills, and it wasn't really leading to anything important. And you had reached the point which many of us got to where you said, honey, to your wife, you had 2 kids at that time, too.
Yes.
You said, let's move to Atlanta.
Yep.
It's not working for me here. I'll be a big fish in a small pond. And Adam, you weren't exactly sure. Maybe you'd be a weatherman on local television.
Unbelievable that you remember all this. That's
I
absolutely
do, because
correct.
things like this have happened to me,
Sure.
as you read in my book. And the phone rang, and it was your agent, and you had a reading for this movie, for this show, Saint Something Another.
Right.
And you went in, didn't get the part.
Right.
But they liked you, and they brought you back in another part. All those stories in the book, by the way, I'm just making a shorthand of it, but they're absolutely wonderful. And you get to know the people that you worked with. Well, we did St. Elsewhere together.
Yes, we did.
Turned into a 6-year job for you is what I'm trying to say. We did it together, but my part was cut out of the show for time.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Austin Pendleton was on that show, too.
He sure was. I loved him.
And I was the MC introducing him to do some stand-up or something. I forget. I do remember that you were playing a drunk.
Yes.
And you had a little device to blow on your eyes.
Yeah, menthol. It was some menthol.
Menthol to give you that
red-eyed
glazed-
look.
That red-eyed look. That's acting, folks.
Your luck. I mean, this is, apart from show business, you're down having breakfast on your way to LAX to fly out, and Cesar Chavez
I know.
walks in, and you go up and talk to him.
I know.
And then you, of course, like everyone, you become friends.
Become friends with him because I just wanted to meet him in person. I'd supported the grape boycott, the lettuce boycott.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he said, stop buying this stuff, I was with him. You know, no lechuga, no uvas.
Yeah, let us stop.
Exactly.
Right.
And so I helped them. There was a strike fund that I gave some money to. So, but that was all from a distance. And here he is before me. I couldn't not say hello. Went up, you know, right after they ordered the food and before it arrived, so I wasn't bothering them. Him and his friend Irv, and said, "Mr. Chavez, I'm sorry to bother you, but I just want to give you my card. If I can ever be of help, let me know. I've been a supporter for years." And he took the card. He said, "Well, what's your passion?" I said, "You know, the environment. I care a good deal about the environment." He said, "Well, as I'm sure you know, it's not just saving the whales and saving the owls, it's the people too." He said, "I know very well, you know, you got those kids that are getting sick in the cancer clusters in McFarland and Earlemart, kids like Mario Bravo and the Cadillo family." And he couldn't believe that I knew about that. He said, "Oh my God, we're going to be friends a long time." And we were just that. And I had the sadness and the honor of carrying his coffin through the streets of Delano in 1993. But I had some good and productive and wonderful years with him working on important issues like pesticide use and abuse.
Wow.
What I never knew Gandhi. I never knew Dr. King. I never knew Mother Teresa, but I knew him, and he was a leader of that ilk.
But you knew Tutu.
I did know and work a bit with Desmond Tutu. He had a wonderful organization that Alfred Woodard put me in touch with in the 80s, and we did something to help people in South Africa. I can't remember the name of it now, but I helped, you know, financially and in other ways with that great organization, and got to meet Desmond Tutu repeatedly at these different events. So how lucky am I to be around a person of that ilk?
Oh, it's amazing,
Blessed.
Ed. I mean, you know, here you are, an actor, right, trying to make a living as an actor.
Right.
And when you read your book, you will see that you have touched and been touched by so many extraordinary people. It must be a magnetism.
Yes.
You know, you were talking about attracting bad things to yourself, you know, and then suddenly you were attracting good
I
things
think you're
to
just
yourself.
generally attractive.
Because you cleaned up your act.
That's
so to
true, but I
speak.
was touched. I think my next book will be called Touched by an Agent.
Now,
Because there's that aspect of
Harry
it, too.
Anderson said that his son called that show "Touched by an Uncle."
you had an interesting relationship with Marlon Brando.
I did.
The repartee between the two of you, he was a funny guy.
Very funny guy. He was, you know, he loved a good practical joke. I mean, he would call up people sometimes, put on an accent, and try to wind them up, and quite successfully. He was a ham radio operator, too, so he'd be different people to different individuals around the world.
Oh
You know,
my
had
God!
friends
Did
in
he do
different-
did he do his Kurtz impression from Apocalypse Now on the ham?
He probably did.
I'm like a snail walking on the edge of a.
That's exactly right. Beg nuts. This is Bran Flakes. Give me a shout. There's a project I want to do with you. I've got all the financing. We've got the distribution in place, and we should have collaborated years ago, so it's time. I've got this production. Let's get it going.
So you heard what I just said, production, he's got the financing,
So
he's
you
got distribution.
and for once you didn't bicycle up the hill to impress
I did not.
him.
I ran up there. I drove up there quickly in my car because I didn't want him to give it to Sean Penn while he was waiting for me to get up there on my bike. So I got up there and I saw what I'd seen every time on my bike, big lettering in the garage that says, "Stay in your car, honk your horn." The reason for that was he had these massive dogs, I mean, big enough to ride dressage, these huge dogs, but I knew them well, so I just put my head down to offer them my neck to make sure they knew I was a supplicant before them. And they came up to me and licked me, and then I walked with them alongside the pool, this pool that was green with algae. Careful not to slip in, because if those gunite walls could talk, I can only imagine how that pool got in that condition. So I sat down for my meeting with him about this project we're going to do together. So I was sure, I wasn't sure who would start, so he starts off with,
Do you know how many volts an electric eel puts out?
I went, I don't know exactly how many, but I'm sure a couple hundred volts, but not a lot of current. And just for a second,
This is why you're perfect for this project.
so I'm thinking it's something in the sea. We're going to do aquatic acting together underwater. I didn't know he was a diver. I'm a licensed PADI diver. It's going to be great.
No,
He said,
what's the name of the town down the coast?
the town down the coast, I mean below Santa Monica. Well, there's Manhattan Beach, Seal Beach, Huntington Beach, La Jolla. That's it, La Jolla, the Scripps Institute. You and Joe Bretzman are going to go down there. You're going to get 70 of them. You're going to bring them back here. 70 what? Electric eels, for God's sake. We're going to run every home in America. Thought, is he winding me up now? Is he having fun with me like he does with the ham radio people? No, Marlon, how are you going to harness? Harness being an appropriate term in this case, like a little cartoon
Harness
seahorse.
eel.
How are you going to harness with wires twisted around in 5 minutes, twisted to shit? How are you going to get the power from the electric eel, which, by the way, is only for a fraction of a second when they've done something, then they're out of juice for another 8 hours or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, like me.
Very nice.
Sorry.
And so
He said, why is everything no with you? You're always so negative, for God's sake. Try to say yes for something once in a while.
So he said, here's the next thing. You got to say yes to this.
Do you still have your wind turbine?
I said, I do.
How would you like to increase the capacity by 100%?
That sounds pretty good, Marlon. What do you have in mind? He said, give me a piece of paper. And he started drawing this picture of looked like a cornucopia with the end cut off, or a hearing horn, or like a funnel. What's that, Sonny? He had... And so he said, we're going to put this in front of your wind turbine. I looked at the napkin. I looked at him. I said, is this to scale? He said, yeah. So I got a little ruler, measured somehow. And I looked at it. I said, that would make this funnel, this thing it would be like 400 feet high and made out of what, by the way? You know what that's going to cost? And also, by the way, it's going to tear down my wind turbine, because they're only designed to take 40 knots or something worth of wind. Then they shut down. They flatten out the blades so that the wind can pass through, because the pad and the structure won't take it.
Yeah.
They only design them for 363 days a year blows past them. Good use of resources, actually.
Why is everything no with you? Everything is always no, for God's sake.
But it wasn't no all the time. He came up with Dr. Craven, this wonderful thing with deep ocean water cooling to cool different resorts in the tropics to cool them. And it worked very well, and it's in use today in Bora Bora and other places.
Well, we're out of time.
No.
You have to come back and talk about Jack Nicholson. And
Yes.
Happy to do it. I love that man.
Yeah, I did The Safe Place, Henry Jaglin's first movie with Jack.
You sure did.
And he has a real relationship with it too. Oh man.
Man, you know, it's just,
I know so many people in your book. It's mind blowing.
And they know you and they love you, by the way.
Oh, well, that's very sweet. I love working with all of them or knowing them. But anyway, you should.
I'm coming back, like it or not. You're coming.
You got
back.
lots of stories.
Our guest today, Ed Begley Jr. And boy, oh boy, you know everybody. You know everybody.
It's wonderful.
It's just
Between
wonderful.
the two of us, we know everybody.
Unbelievable.
Plus.
His book, a memoir, To the Temple of Tranquility and Step on It. You can find it everywhere you buy books.
Yeah, so step on it and go get it, folks.
Thank you so much, Ed. Thank you so much.
Ted, thank you.
Such a pleasure
Phil,
to reconnect with you, my friend.
Love you.
Phil, next week, same time,
Shadow
same channel.
Stevens.
Shadow Stevens.
That'll be fun, too.
Yeah. Okay.
Give
See
him
ya.
my
Bye,
best.
everybody.
Take care.
Keep listening.